Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
All right, welcome back to the special Tiger Turf Talk provided by DuraEdge Products. We're here with Irish Coakley. Patrick, sorry, it's not my bad. How you doing? How's everything going?
It's going great, man.
How's everything? Obviously, you came up from Fredericksburg. You had a Parks and Rec Day, correct?
Yeah, the Virginia Rec and Park Society.
I just love how there are associations with other associations that are the exact same thing, but
Yeah. As best I can tell, the VRPA was taken, so they had to put an S on the end instead. So
I gotcha. Well, we're here obviously to talk about DuraEdge and everything that's going on with the company and with the products that you guys are putting out. Huge news, obviously the official provider of minor league baseball, which is, unheard of in our industry with any sort of product. What's that been like for you guys? Obviously, being able to take up, what really already was true when you look at it face value. Yeah. Everyone was with DuraEdge and the minors, and now it's officially that. What has it been like for you guys?
It's been pretty exciting. I've enjoyed it. Now that we're into the season, it really starts to, become real.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So. But yeah, we are the official playing surface of minor league baseball, and
got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Christy, our head of marketing, pointed out, shout out to Christy, and this hit home is that minor league baseball has a lot of partners, a lot of official partners, but we are the only official playing surface.
Love that.
So that's just.
That's
very
incredible.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Especially because that's where the game begins, obviously, and everything that goes into it. So now there are a lot of things that go into that. You were talking about a little bit before, but there are some incredible things for the company that you were working with when it comes to that. What is some of the things, process and getting that to happen, and what are your aspirations with the partnership? Because we've talked about it before. It's not just about minor league baseball. It's not about Major League Baseball. It's about all of baseball.
Yeah. 100%.
What has that been like for you guys?
Well, this is where we, like you said, we were already used by most of the major leaguers,
right?
and a lot
100% of that, 95% of minor league
right.
baseball.
So and even on the minor league. So what would be the purpose of doing something like this? And really, it's to get into the Park and Rec associations. The high schools, because when you start at the top like that, the misconception is that it's an elite material that only the upper levels can.
No one can maintain
use.
it
Nobody else
below
can
it, right? And all
afford
that.
it or maintain it and all that. But it's just not the case. We've worked with little leagues and what we'll call the lower levels of baseball, across the country.
Yep.
And when it comes to the minor league baseball, the one thing you got to remember, and this from just being around, the good minor league baseball teams are going to be firmly entrenched in their communities, and that's what we wanted to tap into. Use that, those minor league baseball as a portal to get us in front of those lower levels and show that, hey, minor league baseball is trusting us to be their surface. We can do the same thing for your rec fields, whatever it is. And with that comes all the education so that they understand that this material is not just for the upper levels. That's our biggest goal. We want to get out there and make sure that everybody knows that this is, they can use DuraEdge as a tool to improve their playing surfaces.
It's shown. I know a couple guys, Andy Alman, out in Illinois, that area, like down in the Pony Little League, like it made an incredible difference, and it's obvious, obviously, with colleges and all that, but seeing it on that level and the success it has, because everyone talks about rainouts and all these different things that they struggle with, and being able to see DuraEdge have that impact of we are in probably the rainiest time frame ever, and my softball field is not playable right now. I'm gonna tell you that right now. A lot of standing water. There's just to see that at that level is something that's truly incredible to see. Now, some of the things, obviously, getting in front of those people, you guys have events. I had a buddy of mine, Jake Mays, that went to one recently down in
That'd be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where they brought in, the high schools, you're talking about all these people to those minor league stadiums and showing them what the possibility is. What are some of those things that you're focusing on when you're talking to those people? When we're talking to the demographic of a high school athletic director or, a little league that is a nonprofit that doesn't make that much money and their budget's very thin. What are some of those things that you're focusing on when it comes to that?
The thing I focus on is to look at the field as a whole. It's not just about the infield material. It's not just about what you're using on the mounds. There's everything that ties into it. I always start with the grade. If you don't fix the grade, you're not going to have, it doesn't matter what you use, you're not going to get your money's worth.
Amen.
So it's really a full education. We try to get, that's why we want to see the fields.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to just start sending trucks of dirt all over the country and we don't know where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
We want to, when you work with DuraEdge, you get a partner. For better or for worse, you're gonna have.
We're here.
Yeah,
it's happening now.
We're gonna
stuck.
we're gonna show up on your field, and you are stuck with us. You are
stuck.
You have to listen to us. So
hey, those are good partners to have. I'm just saying.
and that's the thing, because along with the material comes our company has a unique amount of expertise as well with our myself, Yoder, and then you get Tom Burns, Paul Zwaska, Eric
all
Blaine,
those names.
I can name drop.
And it's not
Mike
just
Williams
it's not
down.
just DuraEdge. It's people outside, distributing and stuff like that. Like it's
100%.
a whole nother level.
Well, here's the thing. I just named all of those are just the former groundskeepers.
Yeah.
There's guys. Greg Frederick up in New England. Kobe Smucker. These guys have been working for DuraEdge for. Oh God, they're old. So it's 10, 15 years. I don't know. But
nobody watched this episode. Don't listen.
So, it's their knowledge of the product and baseball in general and taking care of baseball and softball fields. It's, they've been doing it for so long. Yeah, that's the part that we bring that is unique. It's just the expertise that comes.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into these products. We talk about, the makeup. We talk about, this is probably, when did DuraEdge officially come out? When it came,
I want to say
market?
It's 2004.
It was early 2000s.
And then it was 2008 was the big World Series that played in the rain and everybody went
bananas.
Absolutely crazy.
Oh my gosh, it's happening.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into it. We've talked about, the production and what you guys are creating with those soils and everything that goes into it. What are some of the things that you guys are focusing on when it comes to those, next steps and working with the best in the game, when it comes to products for infields?
As far as, at the upper levels you're talking? Like
all levels, really. Just
all
with the material itself. What are you guys refining? What are you looking on? You just came out with a couple new products.
Yeah.
HydroPro.
HydroPro. Yeah.
HydroPro.
Well, it's all, it's even since I've been with DuraEdge, the product itself,
very simple,
very innovative.
Yes.
And then, when I started with DuraEdge, then Blackstick came out.
Mm-hmm.
That was just another answer to a problem.
Everyone's problems
that had been existing for years.
Yep.
And our owner, Grant McKnight, I'll never forget this. I think we were standing at a conference, and he said, the only reason I started Blackstick, I was just sick of people bitching about, their mound clay all the time.
True.
So I'm like, yeah, I can, so he saw our
made
problem
good money
and he
off
solved
that,
it. So we just, when we started our calcine clay line, we had no interest in getting into the calcine clay business.
Yeah,
it was just another tool that we could improve upon that helped the groundskeeper be successful. HydroPro. I jokingly call this is, it's innovative. It's a wet bag of dirt is what it is. Okay? But it saves a step.
Yeah.
What it is our DuraEdge Pro comes moisture managed, you could say, but a little heavier.
Yeah.
So it makes it very, very easy to do on edging, building mounds, whatever, it happened to be. It can be used as a mound clay for the little guys.
I know a couple people in testimonials talked about like it's perfect for that setup when you talk about pitching area with your black stick, obviously outside. So yeah.
So you see it, and the reason that helps is because a lot of guys just make their own humidors, to keep their stuff wet.
I remember
in a little
those
box,
things,
and
for sure.
So
load it up in there, leave it in there.
Right. So it's anything, the more steps you save a sports turf manager, the more he'll take that time and go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can make the process more efficient, that's what we're about, and that's why I like the company. They look. They don't just
feedback.
Jump into certain aspects of the industry just for the hell of it. It's let's solve a problem here.
Yeah.
And that's what, going back to when I inspect fields for whether it be a high school or a little league, it is an education process.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to get that guy talking who takes care of the field. It's like, tell me your pain, what is, let's look at this. And a lot of times I can guess it just by looking at it, but
I see him looking over there.
Yeah,
I know exactly what he's thinking.
Yep. So,
and that's what, the staff you guys have, you have those guys that have lived it and breathed it for so long. And that's what, again, you guys take everything to the next level. But that's what I love about DuraEdge.
And I guess to add on to that, when you advertise an engineered soil, what makes it an engineered soil, and what is the lead up to before it gets onto the market, and like all the planning that goes into designing that specific product?
Well, I'll do my best at that last part. That you're talking about how was DuraEdge created in the first place, and it was brainchild of Grant McKnight, our owner, and he went around and took input from major league groundskeepers that he could, that would talk to him. And he also, got the help of Paul Zwaska, who works for us now. And he and Grant have been friends for a long time. And to put it most succinctly, he put the science behind infield dirt. So on the grass side of it, people have been, doing soil tests and looking at the root zone forever, right? That started a long time ago. It never happened with infield mix. Depending upon where you lived in the country, you happen to have a good infield mix or you didn't. And, there were some decent products out there, and, they were basically, they were mined and they were screened, and that's about it. So when it's screened, you'd get a clean material.
Mm-hmm.
But what was that made up of? It could be anything. So going back to what makes an engineered soil product, it's sand, silt, and clay. And you got to take that and put it in its proper proportion. So the research that Grant McKnight did, to the help of Paul Zwaska, who was groundskeeper forever, most the Baltimore Orioles, both at Old Memorial Stadium, and he also opened Camden Yards. So, they put their heads together and figured out what does make the perfect infield mix. And that was research that nobody ever really did. They had an idea, just groundskeepers working, and you would hear terms like, I use, a 60-40. I use a 80-20. And at the high levels, you'd be 60-40, being 60% sand, 40% clay. Well, what they ended up breaking down is that what's in that 40, the difference between the clay and the silt actually matters. What's in that 60, the breakdown of the sand itself, really, really matters. So, they came up with the term silt to clay ratio, where you take your silt, you divide it by your clay. That ratio needs to be between 0.5 and 1. So the brilliance of that move right there, now all of a sudden you can quantify, at least to a certain extent, if you have good infill mix or not. That's one piece of a bigger puzzle, but at least we're starting down the road to where if you're a sports turf manager and you can go to somebody that doesn't know anything about it, you can put a number to it. That's a big step. The other part of it is that they figured out the right kind of sand to mix it. It needs to be medium to coarse sand to give it the stability that it needs. So put all this together, and the way I like to, say it a lot more simply is we make it that way on purpose. It's not just mined out of the woods somewhere, screened, and you get what you get. Whatever Mother Nature gives you, this is a computerized process, and they've got it down, and it's replicable. So you can do it over and over and over again. So you get a pile of dirt. 20 years from now, you can get the same exact dirt because it's a replicable process. So that makes consistency. Consistency makes a better playing surface. Hopefully that works.
No, for sure, for sure. What I also love about it is you guys don't just do it just the product itself. You past that. You weren't ready to get in the calcine market, but now you do. And then you add vermiculite and all this other stuff that it's all sort of a part of that equation. What was that process like for you guys being able to create the equation that is today, used at all levels, whether that's little league to the pros?
Well, I mean, it took, what they did at the beginning, put the science behind it, a lot of testing. Luke Yoder was involved in a lot of R&D to come out with that calcine clay. So we wanted something, the biggest problem out there with the calcine clay was breaking down. So how can we have a good product that's going to do what it needs to do on the field and not break down and turn to powder over time? So that was one of the bigger questions, and I think we did a pretty good job in
100%
fixing that. So it's just, use the analogy is you want more clubs in your bag for the sports turf manager to use to be able to make a good baseball or softball field. So having all of this, and like I said, anywhere on a ball field that doesn't grow grass, that's our expertise right there. We got some guys that are pretty good at grass too on our staff, but we concentrate on the dirt.
For sure.
So, just expanding into mound clays, and then finally going with the calcine and then the expanded shales. Well, actually, they had the expanded shales for longer, but it just completes the picture.
For sure.
And now there's, we don't have to go anywhere else, and, everything's under our umbrella. And we've got the quality control and everything.
And going off of what you said about like where you used to get the product from local mines and they used to get it from Mother Nature, where do you guys, where's your main distributor when it comes to getting your product and getting it to the consumer?
Well, for our infield mixes, all of it comes out of Grove City, Pennsylvania. The raw clay. They did a great little video for a Wall Street Journal there that really opened up a lot of people's eyes just how complex the process is in making stuff from the mine, getting the right level of dirt. The picture during that video of the mine itself and seeing the different layers of material that they had to go through to get to the right one. Yeah, that was pretty wild. Cool, when I saw that. So, for instance, we have. I can't remember the amount of plants that we have across the country. I want to say it's a dozen. I could be wrong on that.
I do not know. So.
But you know, yeah.
Sorry.
Well, whichever. Like our plant in Florida, what we do, we take the raw clay that we get up in Pennsylvania, we ship it down to Florida. We get sand from a local source in Florida that we do a lot of testing to make sure that sand meets our specifications, and then we bring the pug mill down and we do the mixing right there in Florida. But even we've got a place in Utah, we got a place in Arizona. All of that pure clay comes out of Pennsylvania. We ship that out, mix it with sand on site, and then that of course saves a lot. It makes it doable from a price standpoint.
Yeah.
But it's that engineered soils process that makes that possible. We can take the recipe and just use it in Arizona. You're getting the same product out there that you're getting right out of Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania.
Incredible. Now, obviously, the product line has grown since you guys first started. Most recently, Field
Saver was one of the first.
Okay. Yeah. Which one am I getting wrong here?
It's probably, let me see.
Sorry.
In my time, when I first started, that's when Black Stick came out.
Yeah.
And then the calcine clays. And then really it's just the Hydro Pro is probably the newest thing that we got.
But when it comes to all of your products, obviously you're trying to sell it together, but at the same time, budget-wise, people struggle with certain things. What is sort of your approach when it comes to not just selling one product, but making sure that they understand that this product's going to have an impact on their field? So whether that's an amendment, whether that's, a full renovation, like what are those sort of approaches that you're taking when it comes to talking to, different stakeholders at different levels?
Well, price always seems to start there, right?
Maybe just a little bit.
And that's the thing, budgets are a reality. And the way DuraEdge is a value product. That's the way I like to describe it, which means it's going to pay for itself over time. Always does. Every single time. And there's a lot of people understand that, with just about anything, there is a get what you pay for, rule.
For sure. For sure.
So
ROI.
You're definitely paying for quality, but the specific story I like to tell is like my time at Ripken when I finally was able to get DuraEdge in there, and there was an upfront cost to get it at Ripken Stadium. But then the next 3 years on my budget line item for infield dirt was zero. So in, I think, 2 years, that project paid for itself.
Yeah.
That's just on a line item. It has nothing to do with what it actually did on the field.
It's a big deal for when people up top are like, whoa, that budget line got smaller.
Right, exactly.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the field's played phenomenal.
Yeah, but it was the what it did on the field. That's where, at that time we were putting 15, 16 games Saturday and Sunday on the stadium field. And so Monday was a rebuild. It wasn't a repair. It was a complete rebuild.
Oh my goodness, what just happened?
Yeah. So we put that in, and then all of a sudden I'd have a little extra work at first, a little extra work at second, but then I just put the water to it, and I was all set. Mm-hmm. So think about, we had 9 fields, I think, at the time. We had plenty to do. So the amount of time it saved me, and I was able to get on and do other things, it was huge.
For sure. Now, obviously, being with DuraEdge now, but you were talking about how you manage it. What were some of those things that people can look forward to when it comes to that product coming in? You were talking about, wear is night and day compared to other products. The repair obviously is more simplistic in a sense. What are those things that we should be looking for when, you're looking to improve upon obviously what you have now?
Well, everybody talks about rain. Mm-hmm.
And anyone talks about it.
Yeah, it's
I had 75 phone calls this past week. Are we playing the game? Are we playing the game?
Exactly.
I don't know. Okay, geez. Yeah. Do you have a full field tarp for me? No, you don't.
Exactly.
Shut your mouth.
So that's everybody's like, oh, well, we can play in the rain and we never cancel games and all this other stuff. And, sometimes I say the question out loud, depending on who I'm talking to, but sometimes I just keep it in my head where I'm like, well, you played, but did you play safely? Anybody can throw a bunch of kids out there and say, okay, there's no standing water, go play. And it's horrible. And I've seen that done, and it's not right. So, you can actually, it's stability, that's what it brings. When you talk about taking care of a baseball or a softball field, if you boil it down to one sentence, it's putting stuff back where it belongs. That's basically all it is, So if it doesn't move around much in the first place, you're going to have less to do. Sometimes because of what we were talking about before, you know, there's the perception that DuraEdge is extra maintenance, right? And that's part of the education process where I say, I try to politely tell people if you're going to do either the same or less maintenance.
Yeah.
If you're doing more, you weren't doing it right in the first place.
Wrong. Something went wrong between here and there, guys. Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
And we try to preach the water, how water is your best friend when it comes to this material. But that is something I've been preaching long before DuraEdge existed.
Yeah. I remember you telling my AD, and he talked about it for like a week after. Wet dirt with more water is going to be more firm compared to dry dirt. I guess. I was like, I've told you that before. He's like, no, you haven't. Not like that. I'm like, all right, fine. I don't care. I don't care.
Well, that's the thing. You got to ask him, do you want it firm like the parking lot, or do you want it firm like the running track? That's it's all relative, right?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
So, all right, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're good. We were talking about what they can look forward to. You were talking about specifically. What was he talking about?
Well, part of it was, everybody talks about rain, right? Yeah. But it all, most of the games we play, the weather's fine.
Yeah.
It actually has to be good when the sun is out, And
yeah. So, tends to get a little painful.
Right. Exactly. So that's one of the bigger problems I see in our industry. When we do seminars and do talks, you talk about how important water is on these ball fields, but then you say, show of hands, how many don't have water on your fields? And 80% of the places are like, yeah, that's me. And they go, well, what do you do if you don't have water? And I wish I had a brilliant answer.
Dust, yeah, exactly. We just collect it and move it somewhere else.
And at that point, your best bet is keep it as smooth as you can, because it's going to play fast. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter the product. I've used other products, and after 5 days of no rain, you know what it does? It gets really dry, hard, and cracks up.
Yeah.
That's a universal thing. So, call this a public service announcement. When you build a ball field, have some kind of water source on it. And that's not even for the grass.
Just maybe.
That's, again, I got to point to the experience that we have on ball fields. That comes with the package. Mm-hmm. And we're going to, usually anybody that puts in a field, I'm going to schedule a day where I come and talk about maintenance with them.
Mm-hmm.
A couple hours with their crew, whoever's going to touch that field.
Say, we want you to have the best. We don't want you to screw up the best.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's,
the nicest way. Not
in the nicest way.
Anybody here,
and I've done that for municipalities.
This is from Drew, not DuraEdge. I apologize.
That's it. I've done that with municipalities. I did it with a little league field. I remember a guy said, we spent a lot of money on this. I want to have all the dads come out. Anybody that touched that field.
Well, the craziest thing I hear from volunteers and from little leagues, like they don't pick up their drags. They go like 100 miles an hour. I'm like, pick up your drags. You just drag across the grass and everything. Like, yeah. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh my god.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Painful sometimes.
I remember this one field, and this was well before I worked at DuraEdge. Mm-hmm. Inspecting this one field, and I saw second base, and it was up on a huge pedestal.
Nice little slide.
Volcano.
Little slide, pop the bag out,
Well, it just, you could see, they drug it with a machine, and you could see the tire marks coming right up to the base, and I'm like, oh, yeah, they jumped this thing. There's no question about it.
Just going to send it right over top.
They just went right over the base, and you're, okay, well, and then I believe that's the one, like a couple of weeks later, I actually watched the guy do it, and you saw the dirt just dump right on the base. So you wonder where the volcano comes from, but it's such, that's where I got to advocate for the sports turf manager.
For sure.
There's a lot of guys that want to do this for a living. But it's, it's physical work outdoors. You have to break a sweat. There's a lot of people that don't want to do that. Yeah. So when you get the average volunteer, a guy that just wants to coach, his kid's baseball team.
Yeah.
They don't have any interest in staying after the game and actually working hard and doing that. And yeah, hey, I'm not making fun of these people. It's
No,
you
not at
know,
all.
it's coaches. At the college level, you see it all the time. They end up being default groundskeepers,
which
and
is crazy to me.
some of them it becomes a labor of love. Some of them,
Don't care. Get it out
it's
of
like,
here.
I don't want any part of that. I want to coach baseball. So, that's where it's tough. Yeah.
And it's fun to see certain people, take a liking to it, and they're like, oh, well, I kind of want to learn more about this. Like the one everyone's always excited about is obviously the mound, like figuring out how to properly take care of a mound.
Oh yeah.
You have those progressions, they go with DuraPitch, and then they're like, what about the black stick? Maybe I can do that. And then they start perfecting that. And it's it's just funny to look at somebody who, like 2 years ago, you're like, you had no idea what you were doing. You were that guy that took the dust and put it right back in the hole and hoped for the best. And it's funny because I coach in the area. A lot of people don't know that, but I coach high school baseball with my brothers. And our kids, they get excited to do the field work afterwards because they're like, this is the same stuff you used at City Field, the same stuff you used at PNC Park. I was like, yep. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to make sure it's as good as that. So it's like, all right, let's do it, So.
Well, that's a great point. Zach, your question earlier about the engineered soils, like the stuff that we use on the Little League fields, it's the exact same material as the stuff we're using at Nats Stadium or
you got to figure out a
wherever.
tagline for that.
Yeah, it's just different proportions.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. What does that even mean?
Same product every time. Same product every time.
Okay.
First of all, that's not the slogan. And I hope the mic didn't catch that because what was that?
Same product every time. Like
That doesn't mean McDonald's is definitely not the same every time. I don't know what you're talking about.
You could say the Ruth Chris. That's,
Come on, man. Steakhouse here. Come on. Oh, gosh. Sorry
once you get
about
your
that.
engineering degree, you'll go to Ruth Chris. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. Mister. What are you talking about McDonald's for? Okay, back to...
I might be a little hungry.
Just okay, we're gonna stop there. Obviously, someone who managed DuraEdge and now being able to, provide it. What are some of the things that you take from your time managing it and showcasing that to, sell it in a sense, and not really sell it, just bring it to the next stage and bring it to your local Mid-Atlantic region?
Well, I mean, again, when you've been in the game, I guess for as long as I have, you automatically have a little street cred when you're coming on to sell the product. And that's my approach. I tell people my story and what I've been through and what I've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And with a product like this, it's nice to be able to say, if you do X, Y, and Z, this is what's going to happen. And, it's the truth. And it's something I did on my job a lot of times. I remember Ripken trying to improve some things and say, if you, do this is, and when you have results, then it speaks for itself. And they go, okay, he was right there. Let him keep going.
Yeah.
So that's it. We just take people through the process and then we help them with the maintenance side, and, they'll call you and they'll have more questions. And then by the end of it, then they really start to get it. And you got a friend for life,
Now, there's some really cool programs with DuraEdge. One being, I forget the name of it. I'm sorry. I did my research because I promise. But when you get an infield, you can sort of subscribe to a
Field assurance.
And it's a great program where obviously you have so many different things involved, whether that's laser grade, the material you'll need to maintain it correctly. I think it's incredible to see, as a sports field manager and as students at a high school level, being able to have someone who's advocating for the proper use, in the sense of, I'm going to send you what you need. This is what is necessary to maintain your field. They give you the right amount of calcine, pro slide, all this stuff. Like, it comes all together annually on what you're needing. What was that process sort of like coming up with that? And what are your hopes with it? Obviously, when it comes to, hey, I want to order some more stuff, but this is what you should need. This is what we're going to send you each year by having your subscription to Field Assurance. What is pretty much what's field assurance and how is it,
Well,
you
how
know,
does
a
that
beneficial
work?
thing for someone
Yeah.
who's going to get a DuraEdge infield?
Well, it goes into the maintenance need, you know, really. So you start off with just the proper installation in the first place. So you take a field and you fix the problems on that infield completely.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be different, obviously, for everyone. But like I said, you're going to fix the grade. That is, you know, any lips or anything like that. So once you get, you know, that field right and you have a DuraEdge infield.
Yep.
We came up with field assurance because it's like, okay, you just spent a lot of resources fixing that field.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do to make sure that in 3 years it doesn't look like it did when we first started?
Yeah.
And that all goes into the maintenance. So essentially, you can order all of your product. We take a 3-year period.
Mm-hmm.
All the calcine you would, you know, say it's 2 pallets per season. And mound clay, call it a pallet per season. Put that all in one bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And then you throw into that bucket the laser grading at the end of year 3. And the amount of infield mix it would take to top that infield off and make it right again at the end of that third
where
year.
things are supposed to be back together.
Right. And then
you
you
get a T-shirt made for that.
you split it up over those 3 years. So the payments, you're going to have the exact same payment. And you're going to have all your product already ordered. Mm-hmm. And you know that February 1st, it's going to be here. So you can get ready for that game. The other thing it does is it flatlines the budget. It's not going up and down and up and down. And, you know, you're trying to find money for certain things. And that, I think the biggest value for me is, you know, that laser grading at the end.
For sure.
You're not, you know, like I said, you're not trying to find the funds to come in and do that laser grading, and it's already paid for.
I mean, that's
before that contractor shows up to do it. It's already paid for.
Probably the most underrated thing that nobody knows about.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to get someone to understand that. Like, hey, you have lakes because it's not level. Like,
Right.
I'm not trying to be rude here, but you need to get a laser grade. They're like, what? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's you know, people see it as a luxury. It was like years ago, people thought aerating was a luxury. No, it's about as essential as mowing is, you know.
Yeah,
and laser grading is the same. And you know, too many people think of it as a luxury item. But the big kicker on the field assurance is the guarantee. You know, anybody, well, it didn't exist. Nobody ever guaranteed their infield material.
Yeah.
Ever. And, you know, we will. So that alone will speak to...
It adds more to the return
you know,
on investment.
You know, talk about standing behind your product.
Yeah.
You know, it's never happened before. Nobody's gonna ever do that. You know,
No, they're like, why would I give you money? That's pretty much what it is.
Like,
you guys are saving people money and all that.
I'm gonna send you a pile of dirt and good luck.
Yeah,
And, you know, so
for sure.
So we're just taking advantage of everything that we know to help everybody. You know, there's a reason why every field in the country doesn't look like Camden Yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because of the existence of sports turf managers. So
Great job,
you know,
Nicole.
hopefully guys like Zach are gonna, you know, and the stuff you're doing here, you know, making the next generation of sports turf managers, outstanding.
We're trying.
That they're going to be, you know, the more of us out there.
Yeah.
To do this kind of work. Right now there isn't, so we got to help as much as we can.
Obviously, you know, when it comes to different incentives and different initiatives from DuraEdge with field assurance and all the other stuff that you guys got going on, what are you aiming to do when it comes to events that you host? You know, you have different, I mean, one of the big things that I've always said about DuraEdge, and I think Beacon does a good job too, is the instructional videos that you come out with. You know, I remember we were down in Myrtle. I got to go up to Coastal with Yoder and take a video about, you know, black stick and the mount and everything. Like, having those just instructional videos, like it's night and day where I can, you know, a kid doesn't really understand how I'm instructing them. I just pull it up and say, hey, watch this. You know, like you talk about a volunteer dad who has no idea what he's doing. Hey, here's a video on how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys coming up with, and why are you guys focusing on, you know, the human aspect compared to other companies that are like, here you go, See you later. You're gonna buy it anyways. Bye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because we understand it's not just all about the material. I don't know how many times you get there. Well, something's wrong with this material on my mound. It's just not working right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let me come take a look at it. And in my head, I'm thinking it's not the material. I know it's not the material. It doesn't.
I got you.
It's never the material.
Sorry, guys.
And that's where I remember specifically a good friend of mine, Tim Merry. He's the president of the Virginia Baseball Coaches Association.
Gotcha.
Great guy, and we met through my good friend Todd Parnell from the Richmond Flying Squirrels.
Gotcha.
Anyway, Tim was having a problem with the mound. I'm like, all right, let me come take a look at this. Well, his problem was somebody made it 21 inches. And
sorry.
And it was made out of infield dirt. And
what a mound.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. So long story short, I come there and I worked with his maintenance guy. We fixed the mound and plate. And the look on Tim's face as I'm doing this, because he's watching, and I'm sure, because there's no better way to learn how to do this than actually hands-on and participate.
What we do here.
And he was just shaking his head like, oh, I get it now. So, we fixed it up, got it to where it was supposed to be. I showed him how to use the stuff, and, to their credit, they kept that mound great. They did. And he said it went from the worst to everybody that played there saying, what'd you do? How do you do this?
I'm still stuck on the 21 inches.
Right, yeah. But it's the point, like being able to...
Vesuvius getting down the mountain. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Like watching the look on somebody's face, and I've done it so many times now where you can see the just wide-eyed, thinking like, I didn't do it like that. And I'm thinking, yeah, I know, I can see that.
Yeah.
So it's, I can't even remember what the original question was. I kind of went off on a tangent there. But yeah, it's, that's where it's not just about the material. I mean, like black stick is a great material.
Mm-hmm.
You put it in the wrong scenario and somebody's going to hate it because it can really go sideways.
Yeah.
So, our infield mix, you took our professional, the stuff that, take the stuff like John Turnow uses. You put it on your Little League field, it's going to be a disaster.
Newsflash, they have a full-time job taking care of it at all times.
And there's a guy on the hose all day long.
Yeah, all day, every day, baby. Even in the rain.
and that's the thing we get a lot. It's like, I want the same material as the Phillies. And I said, no, you do not. You do not want the same material.
I promise you, I will give you a percentage of that.
Right. It's like, yeah. And, so you got to explain. It's like, it's not good, better, best. It's what you can take care of.
Mm-hmm.
And, and that sentiment goes for all the materials, like all the tools that we offer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they are. They're all just tools. Yeah. You got to know how to use them.
Yeah, for sure. Now you were talking about, again, like at a certain level, like obviously we're taking care of mounts here at Brentsville and taking care of plates and all that and installing all this stuff with DuraEdge. And I do want to get Zach's sort of take on it. Okay, I'm not the best teacher in the world, but I do try to educate you. But obviously coming from a high schooler, I mean, you started 2 years ago was when you first worked with it.
Yeah.
What has your experience been like, being able to see a 15-year-old? Were you 15 at the time?
Yeah, 15, 16.
15 into 16, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever. But learning...
It's a flash. It's a blur.
Stop it. He's graduating in like 2 weeks, guys. He's trying to make me cry. What has it been like for you to be able to see, and we've used different levels. So like we were with like the Dura pitch level, and then we worked our way up to black stick. Softball, we sort of still use Dura pitch compared to black stick because like it not as firm and things like that. What has it been like for you seeing just sort of full circle? Obviously working on the field of the year, your sophomore year for softball and all that.
Like I have to just give cahoots because it's just a really good, like the most of the stuff we get from DuraEdge is really just good products because like you said, it's the, it's the key value of what goes into like baseball and like, you know, just having good like dirt and good playing surface. It's just as good or it's just as valuable as if that you had like the soil and grass on a football field. You know, the dirt is really what makes baseball. And that is true. We have little squares, but
we did add DuraEdge to them.
Aside from that, adding DuraEdge is definitely helpful. And also, like, I know, like, just there's different environments when going onto a football field or onto a baseball field, and definitely just seeing those environments that you have to take into account for baseball, because like it's just like we said, the weather thing. Of course, weather's a constant throughout any grounds crew or grounds maintenance work, but when it comes down to it, having the proper amount of moisture on your soil is definitely a key thing. And I like how, you know, you could either add more soil or more water, you know, to make it more compact or anything like that, and then you have a product right next to it that where if you want to take away moisture, it's easily accessible. You just throw it down and it goes with your needs essentially. And that's where I've found that baseball is somewhat flexible in that sense, to where you don't need this huge system underneath the ground, or you don't need this or any huge thing to like accommodate the needs of moisture or weather. You just, you know, you have a product that you just sort of lay down at the moment that really fits the requirements of whether you're playing or whether you're getting ready for the next game or something like that.
I love that you said that. Because basically what you're saying is it's not that complicated. Right?
The way you said it might have been complicated.
Yeah, it's
you know,
a lot simpler, and you know, it takes a little bit of time and experience to understand what products work and what, you know, how it works. But once you sort of get the idea of it and you learn through the in-person, you know, classes and all that, and going outside and actually doing it on the field, you sort of understand it at a certain point, and it is pretty simple once you get to know it.
And
yeah, exactly. It's a skill like anything else. And a lot of, you know, what I was referring to is like you brought up the field of like what's underneath. And, you know, the way sometimes I hear people describe a professional field is like they reinvented
the wheel.
Exactly.
The simple wheel, right?
And it's like, you know, all right, we're using sand instead of dirt. A couple of pipes under there, but that's about it. It's not, you know, it's nothing earth-shattering.
Aerospace engineer under there is like, hitting the buttons like, nope, air.
Yeah, I say this all the time. My favorite is state-of-the-art drainage system.
Mm-hmm.
I had this field that didn't drain for various reasons. Well, what do you mean? It's got a state-of-the-art drainage system. I mean, it has pipe.
Yeah,
that's it. You know, that's all it is.
Yep.
And so, but that's cool the way you put that. So did you, so you started 15, this program?
Yeah,
14 actually.
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year.
Well, freshman year, yeah.
The viewers could do the math. Okay,
Yes.
they could do that.
He was 14 when he came to Brentsville for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so when you started with this program, did you play baseball as well?
Like I did a little bit of Little League when I was like very young, but I have not played baseball like since probably like elementary school. Yeah.
All right. So.
Mainly most of my
his experiences
my
in
experience
our
on
class.
baseball is through the course itself.
I mean,
and you know, doing it outside the class as well. Like,
Zach
you know,
has installed probably like 7 black stick mounds over his time here
No kidding.
in the area. Yeah.
So what from your experience, what was the difference between like a heavy black gumbo, like a black stick, and the premium?
Talking about what was
working
there
with
before, obviously.
Gotcha.
When we talk about like when we arrived, like Patriot the one year, we put in a whole new black stick, you know, mound.
Like I have to say, like biggest thing when we just rebuild a mound is like you said, the biggest thing is just grade. You know, like you go in and the whole thing is just flat out destroyed. It looks like you don't even know what the heck.
No
it's
one's
like,
touched it for a few years.
It's pretty much just like what do you call the pitching block? You know, it just looks like it's pretty much elevated up, and then everything else just sort of drops off like a cliff, and you know you can see the cleat marks still, and it's just all destroyed. And you're like, all right, we got to add material, or you know, we got to lower a razor, you know, and you know it.
There's been a lot of lowering, believe it or not, in this area. You know, we were talking about 21 inches.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to add some material to their mounds before we show up.
And that's the biggest thing is you know, you have to educate the crew and everything because, you know, they might do the wrong thing at the wrong, or at like the, at the moment, whether or not it's just keep adding material because you think it's the right thing, but then at the same time it's like one of the worst things you could do. And
I think one of the coolest things experience wise was a lot of the time when we go out to build mounds, again, I always talk to the coaches before, and I was like, okay, how much are you actually going to do? Like, we don't want to put black stick in if you're not going to actually take care of it. Like, this is a everyday tarps on 24/7. It comes off right before the game. You don't try and do anything past that. You make sure it gets back on or water it before. Like, you have to have this, right? And what we try to do is we have their players there so they understand how to maintain it. So it's not just like like you said, a free-for-all shit show type of thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking to the coach, and Zach's over there teaching the kids, and you see sort of the program and what we're trying to accomplish happening right in front of our faces. So I think that's probably the coolest part about it. So
yeah, I've so many times in the job I do, once you start explaining to people what goes into taking care of these fields and what they have to do, you can see the look in their eyes. And I've walked away from some of those conversations like, that guy's not doing a thing. He was like,
didn't understand a single thing I just
and I walk
said.
away and he's like, I'm not doing that. Like, you just know.
You need to blow the edges off. You need to vacuum sometimes. We just need you to do this.
But there's others that are just all into it, and that's great. But that's everybody just wants the magic pill, right? What can I just put in here and never have to do a thing?
It's called $80,000 for a sports field manager.
Yeah, exactly.
There's your
hire somebody
pill.
to do it for you. That's your magic pill. Yeah.
There you go.
But the thing is, even though it requires maintenance, if you have a good product and a solid product, and you have a good foundation that you're building off of, it doesn't require too much. And if you just keep it, somewhat consistent and just like little maintenance here, little maintenance there, in the end, it's not taking too much time pretty much out of your day compared to if you're just not doing anything and all of a sudden you have to do this huge renovation because you didn't do jack squat for, a year, 2 years, and you're like, it's just flat out destroyed now. So,
that's exactly, the way I put that concept to people, I say it's always easier to stay in shape than get in shape. Right?
Example A. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, once you have that field to that level, just keeping it there is much easier than trying to get there after it's been destroyed.
Yeah.
That was a concept I really learned at Ripken because we kind of floated between the park and rec style and the pro style.
Well, nine fields. You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
And on that one stadium field where the pros played, I mean, it was short season, so they didn't show up until June. Well, we had well over 100 games before the Ironbirds ever came around. So, that we had a 2-week span where we were kind of left alone to at least try to get it up to a professional standard. And, we were under no illusion. We were always average at best on those fields. But, we were proud of the effort and what we had to go against, But it's exactly what you're talking about. Once, if you cut corners once, you just got to do twice as much tomorrow.
Love that. One of the other things I love is, a lot of our athletes, baseball guys, obviously they take pride in the field, and softball players, obviously they take pride. But we've got a couple of kids where they very vocally speak on when we renovated home plate this year, adding black stick back into what was the travesty of fall sports and everything, where we're not really taking care of it because it's not our team and we're not going to waste money. But it's them coming in and seeing the difference of, playability. You talk about, we have a D1 catcher here who's already talking about he loves this and it's one of his favorite things to do at school, and he's going to Old Dominion and he's like, well, they're putting in a new field down there. I'm excited to see what it's like, see if it's similar and stuff like that. And having those conversations and having those athletes understand, going into these situations, whether that's baseball related or not, understanding sports field management and really the role the materials play in it, Yeah. It's something really cool. And being able to do it with DuraEdge has been awesome because those are one of those things in our program that you can just tell there's a different level to it, So
catchers are my favorite.
Yeah,
they're always the best because those guys, they never complain because they're used to just
getting
baseballs
beaten.
off the head and
Getting
everything else.
beaten with everything. Yeah.
You know, so the last thing they're going to do is complain about the surface. But I always got good feedback from the catchers. They were always able to articulate what they needed a lot better than most. You know,
You mean pitchers?
like pitchers, yeah.
Pitchers have their
have some
own
work to
world,
do.
right? They're in their own little world. It's like, why is this not the way I want it? Well, you didn't tell us how you wanted it. Sorry for that.
Yeah, let me. I had a story popped into my head.
Yeah.
When you were talking about, you know, doing a little every day. I'm gonna pick on my friend Josh Koss. Do you know Josh?
Might.
Yeah, he's out in Colorado now.
Okay.
He worked for me twice.
Okay.
Down in Myrtle Beach and then again at Ripken, and he was or Georgetown Tech. That's where he was going at the time when we were down in Myrtle.
Gotcha.
Anyway, he was doing mounds, and one of the things that I learned early is I would time myself doing whatever job it was. So when I was doing all the mounds down in Myrtle Beach, I would, you know, I'm a relic. I still wear one of these watches, you know.
Nothing relic about it.
I'd throw the...
Most people spend millions of dollars on those.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. So I'd throw the stopwatch on. I'd just turn it on and, you know, do the mound at a normal pace. I wasn't trying to break a record. I was just trying to see exactly how long it took. So I had it down. You know, and it was so regimented that, you know, if I was in the bullpen, I knew it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So,
love that.
anyway, you know, Josh finishes really quickly one day. I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. You know, what's going on? So I'm like, let's
Fox out of sync here.
I'm
We don't
like,
like this.
I'm like, let's take a walk. He's like, okay. So, you know, we went to the bullpens and I started ripping the tarps off. And I'm like, shh. And, you know, I know Josh will laugh at this if he actually listens to it. That's why I'm picking on him.
Yeah.
But, you know, I started looking. You could tell he got tired, you know, which is understandable. We all do it. He cheated. And I got him. So, but it's, you know, and he would tell that story. It's like, oh, don't
mess around with this
fast
guy.
forward, like, you know, whatever it was, 10 years later, and he comes to Ripken. He tells all the other guys, he'll take those tarps off and look at it. You know, it's like, listening to Josh tell the story is much funnier than this right here.
That's
But,
great. I'd be annoyed as a worker. I'd be like, how the hell do you know how much time it takes to do this here?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Like, I was like 2 seconds fast. I'm sorry. You know? But
yeah.
no,
It's a sickness.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. You got time. You got things to do. You got to make sure you're on time. I wish I could do that. You know, make my life a lot easier. You know, there's a lot that goes into, you know, infield clay, the skin, mound, all that. Something that I love about your guys' initiatives and what you're trying to do is just promote the sport of baseball. What has it been like, you know, being able to go beyond just the product and just the company and be able to, you know, showcase what baseball should be played on and what baseball has, you know, the opportunity to grow into, in a sense?
Well, that, you know, that is this deal that we have with minor league baseball. I think it ties right into that. Trying to get into the youth baseball. You know, one of my pet peeves coming up through the minor leagues and everything is, you know, whatever minor league town you're in, the groundskeeper is going to get 1,000 phone calls. Come look at my field, right?
Yeah.
And you always do because you just want to help these people out. And I would, again, you got to try to be polite, but I would get really, really irritated when you start explaining certain things and these are just kids. We don't need all that. You know, it's not the curve playing out here. It's not pick team X playing out here. And I would say, okay, so let's see what you're saying is you're taking a kid with less skill level, less athletic ability, still growing, you know, those kids that are, you know, freshmen in this school, they probably, their feet are, you know, like 13, but the body hasn't come up to them, so they're tripping over themselves trying to get a ground ball, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to put them out on a surface that's substandard, you know, that has possibly tripping hazards baked in, you know, and, you know, that's just a recipe for disaster. And, you know, I wish I could remember the exact thing Billy Ripken was talking about on the TV one time, and the way he would
I think
put
I
it,
remember what you're talking about.
yeah, he would
it was
say,
recent, right? It was like
little Johnny is going to get a ball off the face
Yeah.
tomorrow. Little Johnny is going to be playing soccer.
yeah,
And that's, to me, is like, there's no better way to discourage a kid from continuing in baseball than by repeatedly taking baseballs off their forehead.
yeah.
So, it amazes me. Sorry, I'm going to jump on my soapbox for a second
No,
here.
love it.
It amazes me when you go and talk to coaches every once in a while. You talk about the danger of these fields, and you say, well, does anybody ever get hit, or have they gotten hurt?
Yeah,
And so many times, matter of fact answer is, oh, God, yeah, every day.
yeah.
A shortstop takes balls off the shoulder, the face, like all the time. And you sit there and go, well, then, why aren't we fixing this?
Evaluate that, yeah.
Because it's too expensive? Are you out of your mind? What's the expense of,
Surgery on your
face surgery, or whatever. So,
New teeth.
yeah, so it's for the safety of the athletes, that's sports turf manager creed, right? That's why we do what we do, keep the athlete safe.
Yeah.
But it's athletes of any age. It doesn't matter what the age they are that are running on the field. They deserve the best surface. And like I said before, it's not that hard. That's the irritating thing.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult.
We have high schoolers doing it, people.
Yeah, it takes some work.
And
but,
I would put a few of my high schoolers on any MLB ground skirt right now, and they could fit right in.
Oh, 100%. That's why that's why I love what you're doing here, because, it was so much fun working with, most of my crew at Ripken, and really everywhere, you had just young kids.
Yeah.
That just wanted a summer job. And then the amount of pride they would start taking in what they were doing, you could really see it. It was like it just switch flipped, and you could, and you wouldn't even have to say, oh, they would self-police. They'd be like, I'm going to do this right.
Mm-hmm.
So, bring it back to the minor league deal. This is something that we're trying to show, like it can be done at every level.
Yeah.
And it can be done, by anybody. So all it, you just need to know how to do it. And that's where we come in. We can show them how to do it.
I love how you bring up the safety thing. We've been talking, local school.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of people I yelled at and then got yelled at because I was yelling at them.
Yeah.
But like they're renovating and fixing the problem, and we're trying to get DuraEdge in there because one of the biggest issues they had was the infield mix was just not. It wasn't that they weren't well kept; it was just the way it was installed. There wasn't enough material. You had rocks coming up. They had a fabric underneath that was coming up with a nail drag. Like it wasn't just. It's not the product's fault or anything, but like. Doing it right the first time, like you said, like it's what will withstand, the chaos of a high school season and then summer camps and all this other stuff. But again, that's what I think is so great about DuraEdge, and moving forward, you guys are continuing being advocates at all levels, which is incredible to see. I do want to rattle off a couple quick questions for you. Do you have questions?
100%.
Well, it's what you're just saying though, like going off what you just said was, it sounds to me like you're trying to get make or have it to where you change the standard for like minor league and other stuff like that. Because like in my mind, you have that Sandlot visual of just like that field,
Yeah.
and it's not the best kept field, but it's what you have. Yeah. But it sounds to me working down from because professionals, they all have the money, they have the best equipment and everything. But it sounds to me you're trying to adjust certain things to where you can work yourself down to where you can change the standard of what you have. Think about a minor league field, improve the safety and the quality of fields that especially kids are playing on, because those are the times where it's the most crucial for their career, for their journey as an athlete. So that's what I was just thinking about when you're trying to say that.
Well, it's funny you bring up Stan. You're exactly right again, and
Stop
that's
being right, jeez.
For years there was no standardization in baseball at all, and it's not until recently with the new rules and that they're actually putting that into place. And really, you take a bit outside of the length of the bases of the baselines, that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
You could say the mound, but sometimes
Even then.
I know the rule was 10. I had one at 12. I know specifically.
Didn't know.
And they knew, but it was just like, oh, you're out of compliance. Oh, what compliance? There is no compliance. So now it's like
you're off a centimeter, get that thing down.
Yeah, they have real actual standards, and I think it's fantastic. Because not only are they saying their standards, they're saying from a maintenance standpoint, there are certain things we're going to require you to have, from a minor league baseball standpoint.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it. That's what really the groundskeepers have been crying for forever.
You were advocating for it way before it happened, right?
Yeah. And we just had to convince people to, that, again, budgets,
How did the PDL, have an impact on everything? Obviously you were already in there, most stadiums and everything, but like when that came out for you guys as a company standpoint, what were you evaluating on when it comes to? I mean, you guys had just done Leah's field, you done a bunch of other ones, and that was like the following year, which is kind of funny how like you do the construction, like, oh, by the way, the standards changed,
right? Yeah.
But what is it? But what was that like for you guys as a company, and just sort of moving forward? Like, this is what we need to focus on. And then obviously we were talking about, the growth that you're having at all levels. How do you incorporate all that while meeting that need of, the official playing surface of minor league baseball?
Well, the official playing surface of minor league baseball it's a marketing campaign.
Yes.
Yeah,
I just meant it in like in the sense of like there are new standards and you guys are a huge part of that now.
Yeah, I mean, considering the amount of teams that use us, yeah, we're definitely a part of that. So making the standards, I want to say DuraEdge had nothing to do with that. That's something that was purely done by Major League and minor league baseball, and they finally, finally put some standards down and said the fields need to be this way. So Leah's field is interesting because that was the first one that was under the PDL standards.
Yeah.
Found out really quickly that they weren't messing around. You're
like, wait, what?
Yeah, because there was an issue on the grade, and we explained like what we were trying to do, and they came back and said, "Oh, you weren't listening. It's going to be like this." And we went, "Oh, okay. They're not messing around. They're serious." So back to the drawing board. So, but again, as a turf manager, I think the whole thing's fantastic. So going forward, it's it's right in the wheelhouse of what our company is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about consistency, it's talking about a high standard, and how to keep it that way. Yeah. So that's exactly what kind of you're shouting our ideals there. So again, from our standpoint,
for sure. Now, let's do a couple quick questions. I want to get your ideas on these things. Your favorite DuraEdge product?
My favorite DuraEdge product?
Favorite DuraEdge product, whether it's use or selling it or whatever.
I'll say infield mix is, just what started the whole thing.
So my next question, you're probably give the same answer. Most impactful product?
Field saver. Yeah, this kind of goes hand in hand.
Just gonna ask the same question 17 times.
And that's field saver is the big one. And if you talk to Graham McKnight, he'll tell you this, that's when he figured out that you didn't have to remove 4 inches of material and replace it lock, stock, and barrel. That you could take what's existing, do some soil testing, and come up with a prescription.
Mm-hmm.
And it just blew it all up. It just that's what I meant earlier when I was talking about putting the science behind it. Figure out what your infield mix is. We know where it's got to be now, and you just got to figure out how to get from A to B.
As a groundskeeper, what maybe not great memory, but a memory from DuraEdge that in the end it had a positive impact on what the outcome was?
Well, I'm gonna let me tell a story again. So when DuraEdge first came out, I was still in Altoona. I was taking care of Blair County Ballpark. That's what it was called at the time. Mm-hmm. And DuraEdge was 2 hours away. Hey
guys, right here.
It was even then they had the Field Saver product, and they had it in I forget it was a brochure or whatever it was that I saw this Field Saver. And now remember at that time, the way to do it, we were tilling in all kinds of stuff into our infield, right? So we were doing
thing,
cal
right?
sand, and, you know,
next thing.
so you got this field saver stuff, and I'm like, Jamie Farquhar who used to work for us. He was in the office, and he explained this field saver. So we talked for a while, and at that time, I'm like,
Now
you
we're
know,
good.
my infield's pretty tight.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to bring something really
Wow me.
to get me to change my infield, because you know, like getting a groundskeeper to change their infield skin.
Yeah.
I always say you got a better chance of seeing God walk through that door.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you know, so like I get it. It looks really cool. I like everything you say, but no, we're not doing this here. Now that was I left Altoona in 2008, so I could have looked like a genius being one of the first, right? No. But it was that field saver thing where I'm like, I remember Jamie walked out the door. I just couldn't get it out of my head. And Lisa Ginnivan, my friend, she was my assistant at the time. Lisa, what is this? What is it? Is it a calcined? Is it a filter? What is it? A conditioner? What the hell is it? And I looked on the website, you know, I just see a pile of dirt. And it still confused the hell out of me. And I didn't even truly understand it until after we put it in at Ripken, and really until after I started working for the company and got some training and figure out what the hell this stuff is. Because it's just all it is infield mix, just, you know, different levels of clay depending on what we're trying to do with your field. So, you know, when I think of, the impact of DuraEdge, and, you know, I was late to the game and actually using it. I mean, we're going back to 2006 when they were first knocking on my door, and not a lot of people knew who they were. And by the time I put it in Ripken Stadium 10 years later, everybody on the planet was using it except for me.
I got you.
So I was like, okay,
like, I'm here too, guys.
Yep.
Nice
I'm like,
to see
I guess
you.
I'll stop
I might have
doing
been
this.
a little. I'm here. I made it. I'm gonna go work for them now. You know.
Well, and then once it's in, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Makes sense.
They figured this out. They really did.
We got it. Favorite part about the company, not specifically the products, but for you, when it comes to DuraEdge.
Let's say that again.
Favorite part about the company.
Favorite part, the people. You know, it's easy. You know, getting to know, especially with our biz dev group. You know, I knew Luke Yoda for years. But obviously when you're working with somebody, you get to, know them a little more on a personal level. And the same working with Tom and Paul, like the whole group, everybody that's come, like I said, you'd see him at conference once a year and you'd have a beer and hey, whatever,
See you next
year. Yeah, exactly. And now you're talking to these guys all the time, and it's been just great. You learn a lot. Tell a lot of good war stories, and then you got the, all the behind the scenes people. So Jody, everybody's mom in the office, and she actually holds everything together.
There's always that person.
She's been that, exactly, and she's the one for DuraEdge. She's been with Grant from the beginning. When I say it used to be like her and him in a trailer.
Yeah.
And maybe just George Marsico, when he was selling for him.
Look at how far you guys have come.
And now,
right?
So getting to, and then the guys at the plant, just a great group of humans.
Yeah.
Mike Viersma, who does everything. So, I could go on, Cam, out west. Everybody in the company has been so much fun just getting to know them. Closer with them. It's been great.
Incredible. Favorite event that DuraEdge puts on outside of the SFMA party?
Outside of the party?
Oh, you can include the party. That's fine.
I mean, you got to include the party.
I was so mad I couldn't go this year. I was like, it's been 2 years.
It's funny.
Or 3 years. I forget what it was. I was like, I think it was so funny because they were in the room next to me. For those that don't know, I took kids to SFMA, so I am, chaperone 101. Not leaving the room past like 9 p.m., right? And We stop. We're at the hotel right next to where the crab shack was, and I'm just looking out
the window.
Ryan Bajorn texts me. He's like, "Hey, buddy." I'm like, "Oh my god, I swear, like this is ridiculous." But no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, what's funny about it, because for those that don't know, we didn't have the DuraEdge party for, was it 3 years? Yeah.
It was Orlando, right? Not Orlando, West Palm.
West Palm, yep. And then COVID hit.
2020, 2021, 2022, so 3 years.
Yeah, so
This is 23, right? Can't count. Yes. Sorry.
and so finally it was like, all right, we're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
This was the 10th anniversary of the party, I think it was. So
Like everyone had a blast.
So it was like, yeah, we gotta
From all
do
the
this.
information I got the next day, it was incredible.
The funny thing is like, on the invite, all right, we're closing this at 300 people,
Yeah.
which that's a pretty good crowd right
500
there,
people
right?
there, right?
Yeah, I think it was 525 shows up. Of course we get there and so many people are calling, hey, if I didn't put in for that, I'm like, just show up. I don't know what to tell you. They'll either let you in.
They'll
or they
let
won't.
you in or not, We'll see what happens.
Yeah, when we got the final tally, I'm like, oh, wow.
That was a little much.
I'm trying to think of besides that. Really, it's for what we do, it's tough to get everybody together,
Yeah, for sure.
but
The amount of people you have now, too. Right?
exactly, and getting them all to Grove City, but it is a lot of fun when we get together. It's always a couple of days of, well, you like to say it's just like, it's like a mini conference.
Yeah.
Do your learning during the day and your business stuff, and then at night you have a little fun. So that's it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Calm down, high schooler. Shoot, I just had it. Question. You got a quick question or no?
Did we get all your questions?
Let me.
You got a few on your phone.
Again, we talked about content. What's some of your favorite content that you guys have created when it comes to, you guys do a phenomenal job when it comes to covering, obviously, the product, but also like the different sites that you guys have done. Working with Home Field, is that correct? The official installer, like some of the videos you guys have done, some of the content. Your website is unreal. For those that don't know, my two students went through it, like just going through and seeing what we could talk about and all that. It's just so much information, so right there.
Yeah.
We talk about like other professional pages and you're like, I can't find shit. Like I need this. There's no tab. I can't find this.
Yeah.
What's some of your favorite content you guys have done?
Well, the ones I've been a part of, the one out of Coastal, doing that with Luke, that was a lot of fun because what we discovered there, Luke and I, we were laughing because we didn't have cue cards. We were doing that stuff like,
what did you say? No,
so you'd end and be like, all right, that sucked. I got to do that again, and going over and over. But the unsung hero in that whole thing is Destin Demarion. Most people, he is probably our most famous employee.
Really?
Of all the people, like you go to conference, people want to talk to Destin, and it's because of that fishing boat, because most of the guys there had been taken out fishing by him.
Like we don't care about the dirt. Let's go fishing.
So for those that don't know, DuraEdge has a fishing boat. Destin Marion was on the Bass Pro Tour, so he's legit. He is a
legit boat too.
But when he's not out fishing, he's doing marketing for us. So Christy Fromm is head of marketing, and then Destin is our, resident drone operator. So when I was
we got drones too. Yeah. Come on down, Destin. We'll have
absolutely.
Up, down, something.
It was in Lynchburg.
Yeah.
I remember we used their field. We went down and Tyler let us come on, and I did a video about how we shoot the grades.
Yeah.
Evaluation. And he filmed all that. So, low battery.
You're good.
All right.
Don't worry about that.
So that's
Sorry.
You're good. Had to give a shout out to Destin. He makes all those videos and
That's
all that
great.
happen.
That's awesome.
So much of what you see is his work.
That's awesome. Future hopes, aspirations for DuraEdge. You're working on a lot of great things. You're working on bringing the product to all levels. Already tackling really the top levels. We can just put that out there.
Yeah.
But what are your sort of hopes, working with the people that you've worked with, seeing what they've done, seeing what you've accomplished? What are some of those aspirations for you guys?
Well, I would say, and this is, I'll turn that into my own personal aspiration,
Love that.
because it kind of ties in to what DuraEdge, they've always wanted to make the sports turf manager successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do. And for me, that's, and you and I have talked about this privately a bunch, it's a industry that I've had so much fun being a part of. You make so many friends,
Mm-hmm.
doing what we do. And, it pains me to not see people coming into this industry because they don't even know it exists. And, and that's, like I said, again, what this program is showing kids that, they may not, I got good grades, but I hated sitting in a classroom. If I had something like this, right? I can make a living working outside all the time. You kidding me? I mean, yeah. So, my aspirations to help fill that funnel, hopefully inspire, kids like Zach to discover this industry and to show that it can be fulfilling. And, and nowadays with my specific niche in minor league baseball, it's getting to a point now where you can actually make a living doing it, There was
I talked about it with somebody the other day. I was like, the growth I've seen in minor league baseball just recently 2 years.
Yeah.
We had talked about a job down in Southwest Virginia where, like, when I was in school, it was like 30 to 40K for the head guy. I'm like, you're insane.
Oh yeah.
If you think someone's gonna go get a college degree and then come and do that.
Oh, yeah. It was common back in the day. I mean, everybody, and it's not just the groundskeepers, unfortunately. Front office too. You were starting at 22, 23.
Which is wild.
It
what
was
the amount
insane.
of work you guys do?
It was common, like, you start as an intern, I think I made, was it 100? No, 300 a month. That was my
I think it went up
internship.
to like 500 a month, when I was like in high school, and then it got to like, well, that's child labor laws or the word we assessed at that point.
They
They're like,
sidestepped a lot of those. Yeah.
You gotta pay a certain wage, a certain amount of hours, guys. Okay.
Well, it used to be the training.
Yeah.
For, when you were in the front office, a lot of time you sit down, it's like, all right, what do I do? You sell. Okay. They throw a phone back at you and go, have at it. That was it. Okay. And you start flipping through it and just
hello.
Smile
you
and
don't
dial.
want anything? Sorry.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So yeah, aspirations. I want to just, it's showing people how to do it right, and the fact that anybody can do it, at the lower levels, it's not that complicated. It takes some elbow grease. And advocate for the sports turf manager, because think about it, this is a public high school and they have a program like yours. Most around the country, the job doesn't even exist. It's not that they can't find anybody to do it. It's that the job itself doesn't exist. Acres and acres of athletic fields that our kids are playing on that are dangerous because nobody is there to take care of it.
Yeah. I mean, we walked our campus and everything. Like, we're talking 30 plus acres with grounds and fields, around 14 for fields. Like, it's a full-time job times 4 people,
Right.
And you're talking about how many high schools we have in our county and the people you work with in Fairfax. And it's like, they give it to the ADs, and the ADs, I'm not doing that. Like, coaches, you're up. And then it's like, the coaches don't do it. We talk about today, we had like playoff start off, so you have all these fields and everybody's like, we'll get it ready. No, we won't. Yes, we will. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's things like that. Like, for me with DuraEdge is like bringing that to those people who, not what, like, they're not willing to do it. They just don't understand it. The investment of what you're going to get back is something that is unparalleled with any product that you have out there, and I think that's what's important and hard to get across to people. And this example of the field we've talked about that they're renovating is a prime example. It's 2 years old. Like, you should not be renovating this field.
Oh, wow.
It is that
well, think about this. A lot of times when I see this trend, you got the school system and then you got the park and rec.
Mm-hmm.
And too many times now, the school system is going, hey, park and rec, how about you take care of our fields? And it seems like a good idea, maybe on
they
paper.
already have
but the
so
guys,
fields.
They're like, wait a minute. So now instead of 500 fields, I get 550?
Yeah.
And do I get
Money for that?
more people and more? No, you just absorb it. And it's like, somebody do the math on this one.
Well,
please,
there are a
It's
couple.
like-
There are a couple school districts. I know Jody Gill out in Kansas had a setup where like you had a crew that was dedicated to that. And I've tried to get this here in Pennsylvania for the longest time. Is like hire 2 certified sports field managers at a higher rate because they know what they're doing, and then give them both a crew of 3 or 4. And newsflash, you created a program that can bring kids out of high school right to it instead of having to waste money on, college educated. Again, not saying anything against my kids or anything, but the way the world works, if you have a college education, you get paid more, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
you have kids who know what they're doing that you can take from a high school program that you've developed and give them a career where they're not being paid poorly, but like they're getting paid what, say a teacher assistant would make in the classroom. Get 4 on each side of the county. Each one has their own. You have high schools, middle schools, elementary school fields that you have to maintain. You put more money into high schools because that's where most of the athletics is happening. You make sure that it's safe at the middle school level, which it's not because no one goes near middle school fields.
Yeah, exactly.
Let alone have equipment to maintain them, right? And just getting all that together, like it seems so hard, but there's so much money that people don't recognize that the county has, like in a facilities budget. It's like, it's real simple. Just put this all together, invest in a group of people, and then invest in the products like DuraEdge on these infields where it's going to save you how much money in the long run.
Well, you bring up an interesting road to go down. Think about travel ball, travel baseball, travel sports.
And how many high schools are
involved
in that?
It's a billion-dollar industry now, and so you
More
get
than that.
like you get these rec organizations, like a rec ball almost doesn't exist, to a certain extent.
Sad.
Because
It's sad.
it's like, all right, if we can't be on the travel team, the fancy team, screw it, I'll go play lacrosse or whatever. Pick your sport.
I'm with you.
And so that's where I think you get any community now, if you build fields, they're gonna use it. And now,
More than
so
use
the use rate is going up and up and up, but the maintenance rate
It's still stagnant.
is still stagnant,
Yeah.
if not going down.
Probably
I know
down.
of some counties that are trying to get rid of their park and rec altogether. And you know how that scenario goes? Now it goes to landscapers.
Weeds everywhere. They go in once a month to drag the infield.
They cut it once a week,
Yeah.
and then they put a drag on the Z-turn and go about 200 miles an hour over the field, So, yeah. So it's just like you said, 2 CSFMs and a plan
Yeah.
can accomplish a lot.
Because the other thing is, we talk about like at the high school level, ADs are spending money.
Yeah.
We're talking upwards of $50,000 of a budget that they're putting towards not enough maintenance, right?
Yeah.
It's one aeration and one fertility app and one, of each verticutting, whatever you want to say, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you have somebody who can come in and do the proper amount and save money on chemicals with applications and stuff instead of, just handing money out to companies that, they're running a business. Of course they need to make money, but understand and again, the people in our area, they do a good job saying, hey, you probably need more than that, but people aren't willing to pay the price on it, right? It's like,
well, you're going to get me going again here, but you have athletic. If you're going to have athletics, you got to be able to afford to have athletics.
100%.
And that part of that is keeping the kids safe. I mean, it's
and artificial is not the answer. Sorry.
I'm being from Boston, right? You remember the old Boston Garden? They used to show close-up pictures of that parquet floor, and there was big ridges in it and everything else. You do that in a high school today, people lose their.
Yeah.
But it's on every damn baseball field that's in the country, and softball as well. It's that standard again that we keep going back to and keeping the kids safe. It's I lost my train of thought then.
No, you're good.
I started talking about the old garden and I went sideways on it, but
nothing wrong with that. That Bostonian coming out, people, watch out. We're gonna be having some clam chowder up in here soon.
But it's that's what it was. It was being able to afford.
Find it funny how clam chowder jogs your memory. Sorry.
It's like being in a, buying a car and not expecting to replace the tires or whatever it is. If you can't have athletic fields and just expect they're going to sit there and be safe.
I mean, even the artificial.
That's what I was just going to say. Like, it goes for synthetic too.
Yeah.
We
I think that's the scariest part about our industry.
It is.
Like no one understands that. Yeah. Like it's, and then certain people, certain companies, and I don't know who the companies are, so don't come after me. Certain synthetic companies like, well, you need this, and this weekly. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is they're degrading their product faster so that they can get back in there for more money. Like, there has to be an understanding of like, yes, there's maintenance, but don't be hoodwinked into something that's not true.
Right.
Use your resources, talk to your local sports manager, talk to anyone that's not the guy selling the product to you when it comes to this is how it's done. You don't have to do shit to it. Have fun.
Well, it's so exciting. The stuff we're doing in Maryland with the MTC and MASFA and, that whole advocacy group that we put together and showing people that, you talk to any responsible sports turf manager, they'll say sometimes synthetic makes sense.
Yes.
We all hate it. We'll take grass over, but at the same time, we're like, hey,
you have situations.
Again, it's another club in the bag. It's another tool. And sometimes it just makes sense. But, people got to understand, and this has been proven time and time again, when you factor in replacement costs of that field, that synthetic field is going to be so much more.
1.6.
1.6, yeah.
And it used to be 1 million.
You're right, exactly.
That's the part that I think there was an ESPN article. I was laughing my ass off. Synthetic fields cost $1 million for whatever lifetime, right? And the budget of a NFL groundskeeper is 7.3 million. I'm like, whoa. Let's get that on everyone's budget line right now.
Isn't it amazing how when they have those articles about it, they're always wrong?
And this,
that's why we do the group that we're doing right now. So we can, we're being seen now as Maryland when they have a question about an athletic field situation, whatever it may be. Now they know who to call. They know who we are. And we get people calling and asking us about stuff. And that's what needs to happen. And again, nationwide,
100%. And my other thing is obviously there's situations when Nick Pappas, Daniel Aceto, and you talk about Ryan. If you were to do that on natural grass, you'd be resodding frequently. And if that's something they're willing to do, yes. But you talk about the flips from MLS to NFL, those guys can do a great job maintaining that surface because they have the resources and they have the funds. Replacing it every 2 years. That's the part that really scares me. Is replacing every 2 years, and you tell these high schools, you got 8, which means 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You talk about resodding. Yeah. A lot of people think I've heard many turf managers say, resodding is nothing but a maintenance practice. They tell you even a full field resodding is nothing but maintenance. And you tell that to your average AD, and they would lose their mind. They're going to say hey, resodding, that's a renovation.
Yeah.
It's no, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's just, it's a resodding. That's all. And, and then you got practices like phrase mowing now and,
that's
and
the big
all that
one.
kind of
I'd
thing.
love to have that in my toolbox.
But, it's like you resod in front of your mound.
Yeah.
That's just something you do every year, just about on every baseball field on the planet.
I mean, you talk about, I talked to Jeremy up in Philadelphia. They just had Morgan Wall. There are certain times where you have to. And then, he said, it didn't even look like we had a concert. You don't have to.
Right.
John and, but the Nationals, I think he had 1 week Beyonce games, one week later Bad Bunny, and you could see his outfit. Everybody was freaking out. I was like, the fact that outfield is playable right now, you guys need to just shut up. There's no reason for you to question that. You don't know what's going on. There are dots on the outfield. Oh my gosh, we're all gonna die.
Right. Yeah.
But again, those are the things that I think so cool, about our industry is being able to talk about things like that and see where we're going and understand the impact. World Cup's coming up. We got things like that where, things can withstand more. And I think DuraEdge has done a phenomenal job of saying we can do more. And I know, who was I talking to? Oh, Jimmy Simpson. He He's like, as field managers, we have to get off of the old ways of stay off my field until we play. We can't do all this. Like,
Yes.
we have to invite more. You know, we need to bring those events in. Like, we need to bring more money in. We are a business. We have to do, like, understand that. And yes, to a certain extent, you don't want that to be crazy or anything like that. But
Well, he's exactly right. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I would always say the field's not there to be a hood ornament.
yeah,
It's supposed to be used.
yeah,
You know, and I've never been the guy to scream at anybody to, you know, I would crack up at conference. You see it all the time, and like everybody telling stories. This guy walked across my outfield and I went and lit him up, and I'm like, did you now? Did I, you know, no. It's like, did that make you feel good? You know,
like I did feel better afterwards. Thank you very much.
it's funny. Like Lisa used to make fun of me in Altoona because everybody, like, you can walk on the grass all you want, just don't touch my dirt.
Yeah. Love that.
Stay off the dirt. You know, go walk, do whatever you want in the outfield. I don't care what's going on out there. Yeah. Yeah. So, and you know, one of the things I learned coming up, you know, and it was completely by accident. I've told this story a bunch, but it was in Altoona, and I forget what was happening that day, but I was not in a good. And I was
my kids
just,
could have said that 2 days ago, probably. They'd be like, "Why are you yelling at me? Like, why are you doing this to me?"
So I was coming down a warning track, and it happens that this little kid is kind of leaning over the railing, trying to see in the dugout, right before BP. And he's like, "Is that where the players come on?" I said, "Yeah." And I don't know if he asked to come down or if I just said, "Come on down," or whatever it was. Like I said, I was not in a good mood, and I just said, "Screw it. Just come on." Yeah, exactly. So he was there, and then what I assumed was his dad, and then there was another older gentleman, and like, just all of you come down, sit in the dugout, right? Yeah. So then the players start coming out, and this is AA, so these guys have been around. They see a little kid in the dugout, and we had some great players on that team. See a little kid, and they go out and start messing with him, and, you know, talking to him, "Hey, how you doing?" and whatever, and you know, so they sat there for a while, and they start BP. I just, you know, kind of stayed down there and let them sit. And, well, to shorten the story, finally I had to go. I'm like, "You got to go." A couple weeks later, my GM gets an email. This was a father, son, and grandfather traveling the country going to minor league baseball. It was something that is this big vacation they had planned for years, and they said, without a doubt, that right there, that day was their best on the whole trip. Like, wasn't even close. And and it was just such a lesson. I was like, here I am, all pissed off at whatever, probably something stupid.
Yeah.
And I made this trip for this generational thing.
That's incredible.
Just sheer dumb luck.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know, so now I look for those opportunities. And it was like, I think a couple of years later, I remember there was a family, just a father, I think it was his daughter or whatever. It was three of them. And they were taking pictures of the field from all different angles. The stadium's empty. You could tell they were just taking advantage of it. Yeah. And like, I was dragging the field. I got on the radio and I said, "Lisa, let them come on the field and take some pictures." So she ran over to him. "Come on, take a picture at home plate." Empty stadium and the lights are on, so it looked really cool. You know, so instead of, you know, like Jimmy said, you know, screaming at the guy for like, take advantage of the situation. You can make a memory for somebody. You know?
I mean, that's you took the words out of my mouth. We're in the memory making business. If that means players or fans or whoever, you know. I think the coolest thing about it is like I always talk about this in my talks, whether, you know, it's regional or as of I always try to include this, is like all it takes is a moment to change a kid's life. You know, you don't know where they're at. You don't know what's going on in their lives. You don't understand what they're going through. But that moment of kindness, that kid might become a groundskeeper one day just because of that moment in
100%.
their lives where it's like,
100%.
Okay, that was just awesome. I want to do this now type of thing.
Yeah.
Which is what I love about my job and what I love to be able to do here. So, yeah.
Well, you know, also do what, you know, I'll crawl into Jimmy's head a little bit. Tim and I have probably have these conversations a lot, you know. It's, for a long time, our industry, we mourned our own job. It's almost like we were taught everything was a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, like, again, I'll bring up conference. You get together once a year and talk about all your pain and this and that, how many times you pull tarp and all this kind of stupid stuff. And it's like,
I hear you.
you know, okay, you had some days that are more difficult than the other, but
Everyone
this whole damn thing is pretty fun, you know?
Mine
And
was
so it's
the late night looking up at the skyline in Pittsburgh.
it's
not that bad.
Right, exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. That's, you know, that's it right there. You know, the whole stay off my grass concept.
Yeah.
Like, I always laugh. Is like, is that one person walking across there really gonna hurt your grass that bad?
Yeah.
Well, every, you know, dies by the foot, grows by the. Shut up. You know, like if you want somebody to really lose their mind. It's like, is your grass really that delicate? You can't handle that. And,
My moment there was I was with Chris Ecton up in Pittsburgh working for the Steelers. We were at the practice facility, and these like the trainers or someone on the staff drive right across the field, looking for someone to go irate. Chris goes, Drew, if a cart can't drive across it, how is that 450-pound lineman going to be able to like do his drills? Like, It's not the end of the world. I'm like, I love you, Chris. Love you, man. It's just like you think about those things. You're like, it's not the end of the world. You know?
Yeah.
There's only one time here at Brentsville that happened. It was very funny because I actually didn't say anything. It was one of our 4 PE teachers comes back and helps with graduation every year. And this guy, I don't know what was going through his head. He was an electronics guy, and he drives right across the field. And it's not a truck. It is a massive, like, I mean, it was like not a U-Haul. It was like the big box truck.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, and he's got this southern drawl. He's like, don't worry, dude, I got it. And he's like, I went over to him. I said, you see that big guy over there? He's in charge of this field. If anything's ruined when you come off of there, if you break irrigation heads, he's going to break you. I'm like, love you, Mr. Reedy. Thank you. And so that was funny. The guy got like snarky with me when I drove over his wires. I'm like, I'll pay for your $5 wire. You pay for my $500,000 renovation when you're done. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
He goes, okay. Stop talking there. It was pretty funny. But, you know, it's just the other thing I love about our industry is the memories you make and the people you meet and all that.
I almost had a problem with a horse once. That's about that's
Love
what was that medieval times, you know? That place?
God.
Yeah. It
They
was
had
down
the
in
spears and everything.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, let's do it in center field. It's gonna be great.
I was down in Myrtle, and they had those guys come out and do a little demonstration, big sword fight on foul territory. So the dude that was in charge, he was a good guy, I remember, and he's standing by me next to home plate or down by home plate. All of a sudden I look up because we can see all the knights or whatever. They're getting by the gate. And
Yeah.
all of a
They're
sudden,
like ready to
a
go.
sudden a horse comes running out towards center field and turns around. I just looked at him. He's like, I got it. And he goes running. But I'm like,
Don't panic. It's all okay.
like,
It's all
"Are you gonna
okay.
yell at a horse? What?
Hey,
So,
get off
yeah, it's
there.
like, get out of here.
Headbutt like the big ass horse's head. Yeah, nope, not. I'm not yelling at the horse. You do you, buddy.
Yeah.
Now wrapping up, I do want to sort of, do sort of a not an elevator pitch, but what's sort of your pitch when it comes to DuraEdge and to somebody who's looking to renovate or upgrade their infield?
Well, I think the best way to put it, and it's such a cliche, but it's so true. If you do what you always have done,
Yep.
you'll get what you always have gotten.
Yeah.
And if you want to improve a field, you have to start thinking differently.
Yeah.
That comes to the materials that you use, your maintenance practices, everything down the line. So that's what we offer.
Yeah.
We can offer you the right materials, and we can tell you how to use it and keep it that way. So to protect your investment. So
100%. Now I always wrap up on this question. Obviously, Zach's in the room and he's graduating in like 15 days. Nobody say anything. For someone who's got high expectations and high hopes, he wants to do engineering with turf grass and pursue something along the lines. I mean, he's sort of seen all the different areas. When it comes to machinery, we saw the air pad system in Jacksonville. That sort of was a new avenue into it. What would be your best words of advice for kids coming out of our program that, whether they're pursuing this or not, but sort of those next steps when it comes to their career, school, education, or life, what would be your best words of advice for them walking off that stage in a couple weeks?
Wow. I would say remember that it's supposed to be fun. Whatever it is. If it's not worth it. It really, really isn't, And that's why I said earlier about, in our industry, we were almost taught to a certain point to mourn our own jobs. And it wasn't, now upon reflection, I realized how much fun I had every day on the field. My office was a baseball field. Kidding me? So even if that's not the path you take, whatever path it is, I hate cliches, but I'm going to throw a bunch out. The whole adage of do something you love and you never work a day in your life. I know my entire career has been by accident. I didn't plan to ever be a groundskeeper. I was a sports management major. Upon reflection, I didn't even want to do that. It just had the word sports in it, so I did it. But so just follow that feeling when you get something and you're like, wow, this is a blast. I actually wake up out of bed, I put my feet on the floor, and I cannot wait to go do what I do for a living. Do that and keep doing that. It's supposed to be fun.
Incredible. And that's what I always try and get them to understand, is find their passion and pursue it. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. It's been incredible as always.
It was a blast. I always love coming here. And let me say this, because I got to, and I've said it to you privately, and I want to say it to hopefully somebody listens to this, but what you're doing here is absolutely the future of our industry. And it's not even close. We all love the college programs. Mm-hmm. They're fantastic. But, they're running out of bodies too. And it's stuff, this grassroots type of effort that's going to save it. Good God, let's do more of it.
Yes, sir. So. We're trying. Be sure to check out all DuraEdge products at DuraEdge.com. They've got the best of the best. Make sure you guys are looking into it if you're looking to upgrade your fields soon. All right. Again, thank you. We appreciate everything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Zach. Yep. That was fun, dude.